What's going on, VC? It's Tone, and I'm here to do a very quick video for Jonas at Sublime Media, his 1,000 subscribers contest. And I don't do a lot of contests, and I've made that clear before because I just feel like if I have to do it for one person, I have to do it for everybody. And it's not that I don't want to do everybody's contest, it's just my time is so restrained, and I'd just like to be fair because everybody I subscribe to and who I interact with, I love everybody's channel equally because I get something different from everybody. Anyway, I just started to subscribe to Jonas, and I really don't know him. I haven't interacted with him. I may have commented off of something he said previously or vice versa, I'm not sure, but I've seen his channel in terms of him commenting on other videos, and so his avatar for his channel was very familiar to me. And once I started to see a few contest videos, I realized who it was. And I realized that I thought that the idea for a contest was really, really cool. And so I started to check out his channel. And I've only been following Jonas for, a matter of days. And the reason why I subscribed is I don't subscribe to everybody because it's so hard to follow everybody and to watch everybody's video, and I literally watch everyone's video who I subscribe to. And you know, that's why I do it. I subscribe because I want to watch you. And so in taking some time to watch Jonas, I realized that there's a massive amount of similarities in many different ways between Jonas and I. And so I subscribe. Doesn't mean he has to subscribe to me. That's not why I subscribe to anybody. I subscribe to people I believe who don't subscribe to me. And that's totally fine. It doesn't mean I'm going to watch their videos any less. I subscribe to you because I think that you've got something that feeds me as a record collector. So in my inaugural video for the vinyl community back in January, I showed some records. You can go back and check that out. In fact, I'll leave a link down below. I showed some records that a couple of them were grails, and they have some pretty substantial value to them. I didn't pull out any of the other records that I haven't shown before that have a lot of value to them because I wanted to save those things, you know, for my own time and my own videos, and show those particular records in the way that I want to show them and not for a contest. But since I had already briefly shown these records, I wasn't descriptive at all. But since I had briefly shown these particular records that I'm going to show, and there's only like maybe 3 or 4 of them, I figured, hey, I'll pull these back out and I'll describe them in regards to the contest, which is mostly about value. So really quickly, what are we listening to? I always play something in the background, and I always like to share what it is. And this has some sort of a relation to an album I'm going to show. And I'm listening right now to the Harvey Averne Dozen. Harvey Averne, I'll explain in the video when we get to the other record. But this is this record, this vinyl LP, the Harvey Averne Dozen, self-titled, 1969, on it was on Fania. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was on Atlantic. I'm sorry, it was on Atlantic. Is my absolute grail record. I have some pretty crazy grails in my collection. This record is the most elusive record that sits on my grail list, and it has the most sentimental value to me. You cannot find a copy of this vinyl record, either the mono original first pressing or the stereo original first pressing, both 1969 Atlantic Records. You cannot find it. I have, and this has been for years, I have not seen one. For years. People know what they have when they have that record. And when I find that record, I might stop collecting records. No, that's not true. Anyway, we're listening to the compact disc, and it's a phenomenal late 60s Latin soul record, or what is more micro-genred as Boogaloo. Boogaloo was a very, the way that I can describe Boogaloo is it's in the Latin soul genre from the mid to late 60s, early 70s, and it assimilates itself more to what Northern soul would be in the UK, in the American Afro soul community, Afro-Latin soul community, which means that Boogaloo or Latin jazz, this type of music, came out of Spanish Harlem in New York. This is where it originated. Spanish Harlem, the Bronx, and parts of Brooklyn, which is where Boogaloo originated. Harvey Averne, Joe Bataan, Willie Bobo are so Willie Bobo kind of transitions into the jazz realm as well, of course, but that's the genre that is. So that's what we're listening to in the background. Let's get started. I don't want this to be a long video at all. First record I want to show, and I've talked about this record in one of my past videos. I showed this record in my inaugural video for the vinyl community, and just in a few videos ago I showed the compact disc. I was playing it in the background, and I went into a pretty heavy description of why this is so amazing. This is Erykah Badu's very first LP. It coincided with her first studio LP, which was in the process of being recorded when this was released. They were both released the same year, 1997, I think. Erykah Badu Live is, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, it is in my top 3 live albums of all time. It is an absolutely mind-blowing live album. It is an extremely, extremely hard album to find, especially in this condition. I'm going to talk, I normally don't talk condition because I just don't, but because this video has to do with value, I'm going to talk condition. So the condition of this particular copy is literally near mint all the way around. The vinyl is immaculate. The label, the side labels are immaculate, and the jacket. This is the original jacket. This is the only way that the vinyl ever came, on a black plain LP jacket with a hype sticker that shows the track listing. You will not find it with the cover that is on the compact disc version. It just comes like this. It is very rare. You can find a couple copies online right now at the moment, and they're in really shitty condition, really crappy condition, as far as you would want to have this record in. And even those records in that condition, I'm talking about maybe VG plus vinyl and VG condition or VG minus condition on the LP jacket, which you know on a black record jacket is just absolutely horrible. And those copies with shipping are going for $50. If you get a copy like this, in this condition, with near mint vinyl condition and near mint LP jacket condition, you're looking at about, if you're lucky, maybe $90. But it'll average between $90 and $120 for this particular record. I normally don't show too much the vinyl as well, but I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to show the labels. So that's what the label looks like. It's on Kadar Universal, and this is one of my most prized records, not only because it's one of my favorite records ever, but it is also a very hard to find record, especially in this condition. And so I'm very, very, very happy to have this record. So Erykah Badu Live 1997 on Kadar Universal. Next one is a grail of mine. This record has a lot of sentimental value as well. This is on the original Fania label out of New York City. This was a label that hosted a lot of Boogaloo and Latin soul, Latin R&B. Doesn't mean it was in Spanish, it just means it had a Latin flavor to it. Most of the Latin soul stuff was totally in English. It just had a slight Latin feel to the soul music. This is Ralphi Pigon, and I've showed this before. Ralphi Pigon with Love. This record you cannot find. You cannot find the mono or the stereo copy anywhere online. It is an extremely, extremely hard to find record. This is a first pressing, very early stamper on this. The cover is in literally near mint condition, and the vinyl is, I mean, if this thing was sealed, I would call the vinyl mint because it is flawless. It is the original copy, first pressing of this. And if you find a record in this condition, original pressing stereo, you're looking at anywhere between $180 to $250 for this record. That, if you're lucky. I've seen this record as high as $300 in this condition. Easy. I think the last copy I saw that was literally near mint, before I got this copy, was maybe $270, $275. Not including the shipping, which is probably $5. But yeah, this is a phenomenal record. Rafi Pigon was a Latin soul artist. This was technically this is actually his second LP, which is his most sought after LP. It has a cover of Make It With You, which was the David Gates and Bread song. It is a phenomenal cover. I will leave a link to the song below, as well as a link to my first vinyl community video. And it's just a wonderful record. It is on the original Fania label. I have a feeling I'm going to get a little too lengthy with this video. So that's what the original Fania label looked like. This was reissued in 1992 on, I think it's called American West Records or American West Marketing. I think you can get a copy of this right now sealed. Shipped to you for about $40, the 92 reissue. Or it may technically, I think there's one other reissue that they don't have a date on Discogs, so it might actually even be that one, I'm not sure. But I haven't seen an original pressing either in stereo or mono available online for actually since I bought that. So it's a very elusive record. I'm very proud to own that record. Phenomenal Latin soul record, Ralphi Pigon with Love. But let's say on a lucky day, $180 to $200. How about that? This next record, I have two copies of this. I've showed this before. This is Joe Bataan, St. Latin's Day Massacre, on the same record label, Fania Records. This is the stereo pressing. This is the mono pressing. States mono down here in the bottom right-hand corner, depending on how you're looking at the record. States stereo in the upper right-hand corner here. And having a regular original pressing of this record is pricey enough. But what makes these particular pressings so special is, and I'll take this out, because the labels on these are both the same with the exception of mono and stereo. These are called the shaft omission labels. This song had an amazing version of the song Shaft on it, made popular by Isaac Hayes. So on the cover of both the mono and the stereo pressing, it is listed on side 2, which is called the death side. It's the life side and the death side. Right, let me put this here. Right down here is Shaft, which is B5. So side B, track 5. Same thing on the mono copy. Right here, you see Shaft. Now, they're called the shaft omission pressings. Both the stereo and the mono have the shaft omission pressings because on side B of the actual vinyl, track 5, let's see if you can see it, track 5 was omitted. There's no shaft on there. And of course, again, this is the stereo pressing. As you can see, the mono label has the same thing. So track 5 listing on the label, on the side label, on both the mono and the stereo, has been omitted. But it's on the record. The track is on the record, but it's just not available it's not been printed on the side labels on either the stereo or the mono. Now, both of these records, the mono and the stereo, both copies, both the LP sleeve and the vinyl, including the side labels, are in absolute pristine condition. They are by far near mint all the way around. There is no seam splitting, there is no edge wear, there is not a scuff on the vinyl. I mean, these things were kept and never played. Stereo copy, in this condition, there may be one online right now. I think it's 180 for the stereo. That copy is a VG Plus vinyl and a VG cover. So I actually negotiated for about 3 months for the stereo copy of this with the seller, and I wasn't lowballing him, but it was below what he wanted to accept. I think I ended up paying $165 or $170 for this. And again, it is in absolute pristine condition. And the way that you can tell that it's an original stereo as well, as it is a sticker back fold over cover, and you can see that the stereo has covered the mono. So this is the stereo, as you can tell right here. But on the back, you see that the sticker back has covered the mono fold over. And that's your first stereo pressings. Phenomenal. So I paid, like, I think again, like 165, 170. They'll average about 2 in this condition, near mint all the way across the board. You're looking at probably about between 2 and 250 for this record. The mono, again, no seam splits. The spine is immaculate. No edge wear whatsoever. The vinyl is even in better condition than my stereo copy. And I don't know how that can be because the stereo is perfect. This you're going to pay anywhere probably between $250 and $300 for this record. An unbelievable record, by the way. If you can get, I mean, just to have the record, grab, you can get them on a reissue for probably about 30 or 40 bucks. Online on eBay. What's the store in Chicago that has a lot of these reissues? It'll come to me. Anyway, last but not least, I showed the Harvey Averne Dozen, which was the second LP and the most sought after LP. Again, there's not one of them available online. I think there is 4 compact discs available online. This is by Vampy Soul. Vampy Soul is a Spanish label, and there is about 4 copies of this compact discs spread throughout Europe. I think 1 in France. I got this copy in France. There's not many, and they're all used. There's no new copies of this. Once they pop up, they're gone. So, and I mean, you know, 15, 20, 25 bucks. I think I paid 25 or 30 bucks to get this over here to the United States, and it's worth it. It's on a Digipack cover. This was the first album, Harvey Averne Dozen. So this is Harvey Averne's as a solo artist, and the album is titled The Harvey Averne Dozen. This is the Harvey Averne Dozen as a band, and the album is called Viva Soul. It's on Atlantic. It's not super pricey. This album is, the jacket's probably in EX condition. The vinyl is in absolute near mint condition. No writing, no marks, no scuffing on the side labels. The only thing that doesn't make this cover near mint is there's a little bit of staining right there. It's very light. No tearing, no seam splits. The spine is immaculate. No ring wear. The thing is just phenomenal. And I think I negotiated this down. I think I paid 70 bucks for it. You can get them in cheap, horrible condition. And there's my phone. I'm gonna let it ring. You can get this in horrible condition. You know, VG cover, maybe VG vinyl, maybe between VG plus vinyl, and just a horrible cover for probably about 30 or 40 bucks. But this particular condition, you're gonna pay between $70 and $100 for this. And so that's it. This is on the original Atlantic label. And there you go. And yeah, that's it. So Jonas, congratulations on 1,000. And you know, I just watched the video. So the video that announced your contest, you said, you know that nobody watches, no 1,000 people watch your channel. And I have to agree with you, 1,000 people don't watch your channel. Because the last time I checked, it was 1,044. So 1,044 are watching your channel. Congratulations, bro. And look forward to chatting with you in the VC. God bless. Peace out.